Hyperlightdrifter is an indie 2D game created by Alice Preston and his indie company Heart Machine, which began as a passion project crowdfunded by the public via Kickstarter and was released in 2016. During the time of this indie game's development, the creator wrestled and still wrestles to this day with heart complications he had since birth. Major aspects and imagery that is found within this game's somewhat narrative serves as an artistic mirror reflection of some of the internal battles the creator probably endured. It's through this game that the player not only experienced the journey of the protagonist, but more than likely a piece of the creator's emotional revelations as well. Just like many indie games nowadays, the story is not clear nor obviously spelled out for the player to understand. There is no dialogue or words presented. However, instead of these means of communication, imagery and scenery take center stage. There is an old saying that states that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and this game utilizes that figure of speech quite literally. When you interact with different people in this world, pictures are shown to convey the characters' backstories and a lot of times, a boss that you will face later on in that section of the world. But if I could piece the story together, I would say Hyperlightdrifter is a tale about a warrior who is trying to undo a catastrophe that led to the inhabitants of the land residing in a post-apocalyptic state. The enemy being the enigmatic manifestation of his sickness that grows stronger with each step he takes going forward. This is shown to the player through constant reminders and segments where the drifter begins coughing up blood. Defeating what is causing death and destruction to others and the mass production of monsters who want to destroy life is the drifter's mission. However, I believe the black energy, or what I like to think of as a virus, is an analogy to something more. In this game, you see other warriors who have died possibly due to the same sickness the main character has, which is portrayed by the seemingly eerie pitch black smoke that protrudes from the characters. This means that others have, or still is walking a similar path that the main protagonist is walking. Some unfortunately did not live to complete their journey, while others are still fighting, leaving you to complete what others have failed. Hyperlightdrifter has some of the most beautiful pixelated visuals that I've seen in the game, with its different variations of neon colors and little details that adds charms to this indie title. While exploring, it is good when you can take a moment to stop and just take in what you are seeing. There are moments and areas that could be their own set of exquisite art pieces to be displayed at an art gallery. I took notice that each of the regions that the player goes into contains a different atmosphere and color palette reminiscent of the 4 seasons. The eastern region being a representation of summer, the western region being an interpretation of spring, with the southern region being represented as fall due to the color of the landscape, and lastly, the northern region being a representation of winter, due to its location and display of snow. Even though these areas are quite detailed, my first impression of what I saw at the beginning of the game easily takes the cake. The dark and bright colors that pop out giving you the equivalent of the night sky, and the moment when the player first gained control of the protagonist while sitting in the stormy night still to me is breathtaking. The sound in Hyperlightdrifter was done well. The sound effects feel a bit crunchy, especially when slicing an enemy and hearing it connect. Some of the sounds that the enemies give off are cues for the player to move. Most of the time though, you will hear what I can describe as the sound of inserting a Nintendo cartridge into a Super Nintendo. The music however in this game is very dreary and mellow for the most part as you travel, giving off this serene, relaxing atmosphere even though it's contrary to what you see visually such as dead corpses and rivers of blood. Other songs that play is this upbeat and semi-fast paced song that sounds like a horse galloping to battle. And lastly, the beautiful piano ballad known as Panacea, that when played especially at the conclusion of the game, helped leave a feeling of genuine sincerity as I thought about the cryptic journey of the protagonist. I highly recommend that you go check out the original soundtrack of this game, beautifully handcrafted by Disasterpiece. The gameplay is fast and fluid. You start off with what appears to be a lightsaber and a pistol for offense, and the ability to dash as a means of evasive maneuvers. Later on, as you progress and collect these golden pieces, you will be able to obtain upgrades. These are very important to find and collect. If the player does not take the time out to attain as much of these as possible, the bosses and enemies will not hesitate to severely punish you for being unprepared for what they would dish out to you. Some of my favorite and useful upgrades I recommend investing in is first the dash upgrade, which will allow the player to dash continuously, requiring precise timing and rhythm to do so. Secondly, I would recommend you getting the ability to deflect incoming projectiles. There are many enemies that are going to be taking shots at you. Lasers, arrows, and even missiles from rocket launchers. So if you're not already a veteran in this game, it's best you make these upgrades top priority because the enemies are going to be coming at you with everything in their arsenal, including their numbers. As you traverse the land, there are 4 main pillars located in the 4 corners of the world: north, south, east, and west. And within each region, 4 black pillars are to be located and unlocked in order to face off against the region's boss who currently is ruling there. Each region has a platform the player can utilize to quickly teleport to other areas of greater distance. Some of the issues faced in the gameplay came to the realization of my own shortcomings. And not necessarily due to the game itself, but how much the player is willing to explore and strategize how to approach or adapt to various situations. One example is the exploration factor. Out of fear of missing out on what I could discover, I would find myself standing on the edge of every cliff and running into every corner on the screen for the possibility of discovering a hidden passage. Another example would be due to a lack of awareness, such as dashing off cliffs from time to time and losing track of all what's going on the screen when a good number of enemies with their attack patterns come at you all at once. The screen would turn into a smorgasbord of neon pixelated action, and to make things even worse, you will be trapped in a small compacted area during these segments. You have to maneuver and stay focused at all times or it could be your end. Oh, and you will die many times in this game. But the more you play Hyperlightdrifter, you understand that the game does not become easier, you just become more experienced and in return become better. You develop a certain zen and gain knowledge of attack patterns of enemies, and before long you will find yourself dancing across the screen, destroying your enemies with precision and ease. Hyperlightdrifter is a masterpiece that does not overstay its welcome. Its symbolism through its gorgeous look, engaging gameplay, backed by its music not only makes the game fun, but surprisingly enough could evoke emotions from the player unaware. The journey and pilgrimage the player undergoes to understand the mysteries of this world and characters is what this game does and does well. It teases the player even after finishing the game to explore and learn more until there is nothing left to acquire or experience. Hyperlightdrifter is currently on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Steam, with the special edition what many are calling the definitive edition on Nintendo Switch, with 60 frames per second enhanced visuals and added area with other bonus features. So go pick it up. At the time now, there is speculation that the new game Solar Ash Kingdom may be a sequel, or something that may take place within the same universe, or maybe just a simple spiritual successor. Either way, I'm all in for it.